Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Bloody Hell. This was directed by Alastair Grierson and stars Ben O'Toole, Caroline Craig, Meg Fraser in her first feature film, and a variety of others. The film really follows Rex, played by Ben O'Toole, an average man who ultimately finds himself in extraordinary circumstances, where he foils a bank robbery. But it doesn't go quite according to plan, and one of the hostages is ultimately killed. He's blamed for this and put into jail for 8 years. Upon his release, he decides he wants to go somewhere where he's not known or recognised, because once he gets back out in the world, everyone knows who he is. His face is splashed upon magazines and news reports, and he gets followed by paparazzi and newspapers and a variety of things. So it's really about him trying to find a place where no one knows him. And he decides on quite an extreme place and goes to Finland. Ultimately, when he's picked up in a cab, he's knocked unconscious, and when he awakens, he's ultimately hanging from the roof of a basement. His hands are tied, and after a moment of working out where he is, he realizes he's missing one leg. It really becomes this journey of survival, trying to break free of his restraints and trying to find his way out of this and away from these people who have kidnapped him. Within these scenes, he realizes that it's a family that's abducted him. We see the family. We see that they're not quite right, and there's something really strange about them. And the reason behind why they're doing this is unclear until the film unfolds. We learn bits and pieces about him in this particular scene, that he was in Iraq and in the military. And through these experiences, he starts to talk to himself, to the point he's created a persona that he talks to, which is his mind. And this part of his personality really explores things and really tries to work out what's going on and tries to support him in a strange way. And this is his only sort of interactions, the only person he really talks to, and it helps him come up with decisions and trying to work out what's going on in the situation he finds himself in. During this sequence, we're introduced to Aaliyah, played by Meg Fraser, who's the daughter of the family but doesn't really want anything to do with them. She wants to break free of her family and live a normal life. And when she meets Rex and finds him hanging up in the basement, she really feels like he's her opportunity to break free. She really thinks that he's her way out, and she reluctantly tries to help. And it sort of evolves into this survival film where he has to try and work out how to break free of his restraints, whether he can trust Aaliyah or not, and how he goes about trying to escape this particular house he finds himself in, and to get away from this crazy family. It all leads to quite a confrontational and somewhat violent ending. I was surprised by this film. This was a film I just recently saw the poster, and I just caught a trailer of it when I was in the cinema not long ago. And there was something about it. There was this energy to it. It was kind of humorous. It was kind of different and unique. And I really was become fascinated by it. So this trailer really made me want to go and see it. I was really impressed with this film. It was different, unique. It was colorful. It was one hell of a ride. It was entertaining. It had a horror elements, but in a different way. There was a lot of humor in it as well. It was sort of that horror comedy element. But the comedy wasn't over the top like you usually see in these horror comedies. But it was actually funny. This film really knew what it wanted to be, and it executed it in such a brilliant way. It was a well-crafted script, and it just sort of had something a bit different. The most fascinating thing about this film is it was directed by Alastair Grierson, this was his first film, but he's Australian. Pretty much all the cast were Australian, and a lot of the Finnish actors, or the family in Finland, all had to learn the accent and learn, Swedish or their dialect. And I really liked that. He really kept it Australian in many ways, and it was also shot on the Gold Coast, which I thought was fascinating. I think that's what elevated this film above the sort of horror comedies or the comedies or Australian films we usually have. They're usually quirky and strange and bizarre, and they don't always work. Even though this is filmed in Australia, having it set in a different location, you've got America and Finland, and I kind of like that. Having them have different accents and not Australian accents, and not pushing the comedy or the violence too much, but enough to get across the story they want to tell. It just sort of added something different to it, and I was really impressed with it. Ultimately, I think this film really worked. It was a simple story and well executed, and with an interesting, unique flair. I like the feel of the film, the aesthetic of it, the look of it. I like what they're trying to accomplish here and go with. I like the horror elements to it, and the sort of violent stuff works really well, and the comedy is fantastic as well. I thought all the acting was great. I thought Caroline Craig, which I've seen her in a few things, plays the mother of the crazy family, and I think she's solid and has really great moments in the film, and adds a sort of creepiness to this character and to this family. I think Meg Fraser's fantastic here. This is her first feature film and she does really great playing Aaliyah. She's really interesting and captivating. She plays a unique character. We feel for her being the one that doesn't want anything to do with this sort of crazy, violent family she finds herself in and trying to break free of that. And you really feel for that plight for her trying to break free. You want to see us live some sort of normal life. But she's fantastic here and has some really, really great moments, and the chemistry with Ben O'Toole is really great, and their scenes together really stand out in this film for me. And all the members and all the actors who play the family, all the Australian actors playing this Finnish family are really great and have some great moments. And the family really feels like something out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Hostel or some sort of film like that, but adding a lot more humour than those films really have. But the real standout here for me is Ben O'Toole. I first saw him in Necrotronic, the Australian sort of sci-fi horror film, which I really loved, and I thought he was a real standout in that. There's something about him, he's unique and interesting. And he has a leading man quality that I thought he was really great in that film. And he really shines here. He has moments of being dramatic and fearful, and he goes through a wide range of emotions. He has some really great action moments in it, especially in regards to foiling the bank robbery, which I thought was really great. And he sort of feels like an action star in many ways, and I would love to see him do an action film or do something different. Just watching him trying to survive, trying to break free of what's going on is really great to watch and really captivating. And the envisioned versions of himself, as if it's his mind, he's created an actual persona that he talks to rather than inside of his head, he talks to himself. This aspect of the film, this sort of persona he creates of himself or his mind, is what adds a lot of humour to this film. He's very funny. He's sort of this alter persona that's trying to work out what's going on, and we get to see him laugh and cry and just crack jokes. I think these moments is really, really funny. And it adds something different to a character like this, where you see them hang up and we have to see through their emotions what they're going through and what they're thinking. Where this allows the character to explain his thoughts and to go into things that we wouldn't really necessarily know or learn if this character was just by himself. So it adds something fresh and unique in that way. It ends in a way that could ultimately become sequels, and I just read this morning that this is the first of a planned trilogy, and I'd like to see more of these films. I think they're great, and I'd like to see them sort of evolve these films. I just think overall it was just a really well executed film. It was fun and entertaining. It wasn't too violent or gory, and the humour wasn't too much or overbearing. I just was impressed by this, and if you're a fan of Australian films or a fan of something a bit different in the horror comedy genre, this is definitely worth checking out. Final thoughts. In the end, I guess it's about how sometimes things are meant to happen a certain way. And that's what I feel with Rex. He was meant to go into that bank. He was meant to stop it. This woman was meant to die, and he was meant to go to prison. And he was meant to end up in Finland and to go through what he goes through. It gives him a much more of an understanding of life and wanting to survive and wanting to persevere no matter what. And it just sort of sums up that idea that maybe things are meant to unfold the way they're meant to, and there's nothing you can do about it. You feel you have choices, but ultimately you don't. And I think that's sort of what this film's sort of getting at. I'm going to give Bloody Hell 4 out of 5. I thought it was really well done, and I was impressed with what I did see. And it's definitely worth checking out if you like something a little different. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.